Super. All right, welcome everyone to the Kured Dev Meeting. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of April. We have nothing on the agenda so far. Wait, no, we do. I wanted to talk about the upcoming release. I'm going to add that. Are there any things you were hoping to get discussed today? There's a link to the
release is a big topic.
Yeah, I'm really glad or is it even 1.6.0 or is it 1.7?
Or is it 1.7? Oh, I can't remember.
1.7. I'm behind. I'm 3 months behind or something.
It's okay. It's okay. Kubernetes also is late sometimes.
Yeah, in general, I feel we're actually looking good. I'm very glad we managed to merge some of your respective PRs. Some of them have been cooking for a long while. For example, Alexei's work, and some of the other patches too, so they're all merged. One thing I know we have still waiting is the Prometheus updates. I think that's something we also discussed the last time. Didn't we say we wanted to go ahead and merge them and then see how things play out, or what was the plan there?
Which Prometheus one are we talking about here?
I think there were some dependencies, like some Go dependencies.
Oh, okay.
So there's a PR that bumps it from 18 to 23.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even okay. I have seen that all of those were fading recently, and I have realized that one of the GitHub actions we're using is moving from master branch to main. And so basically it broke all the GitHub actions. I realized that we shouldn't have been using a head of a branch, but instead use a tag for those. So I think that if we merge this, we can probably rebase that Prometheus test. And when that Prometheus test will be tested, because we recently in this cycle added a minimum Prometheus test, we can already, I guess, validate it. So we should be in a better place.
Can you remind me which PR needs to be merged? I didn't quite catch it. I was trying to note.
I think you merged it, actually.
Yeah, good.
It's the one you merged.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Super.
So I'll paste in chat. This one needs to be rebased. Yeah, your plan is exactly right. I think that will tell us if this Prometheus changes. Good.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. And I'm happy to test it in our dev cluster too and see what happens and report back.
It reminds me that I have another pull request that was also clarify and simplify our testing coverage again.
Mm-hmm.
This is outdated. I'll fix that. And it has the advantage of testing the Helm charts differently and focusing on the manifest. The reason why I'm focusing on that is because I see that right now we are bundling the manifest inside the release. And so we should make sure that the manifests are always updated and always tested inside a pull request. The Helm charts is always training a release. So we should ensure that during the time that we are building our code for the next release, the Helm chart doesn't break. And that's it. We don't have that much coverage that we need. And so this should be refactoring and clarifying the tests. I'll rebase that.
It was actually nice that you discovered that after I've made the pull request with the updating the Helm chart, and all the tests passed.
Yeah, I saw it like, what? It's all passing? And I realized that it was due to me because I wrote it that way. I wrote the fact that it should override the app image because when you want to, I mean, if you want to test that your code will be working with the next version of the Helm chart, you want to make sure that you override that Helm chart version inside your pull request. So that makes sense. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense that you're obviously pointing to an image that is not passing and that is showing, hey, everything is okay. So that is like kind of confusing. So I hope that this is going to clarify things.
I can volunteer to review that. I think that one will probably need a rebase too. I guess everything needs a rebase after the actions.
Yeah. But that one needs more focus, I think, because we moved the PRs and moved a little bit of the, there is a conflict on the GitHub workflows. So I'll change that. I think due to one of the, due to the extra coverage I brought. So, but thanks for helping on that. It's awesome.
Super. One thing I know is sort of outstanding is the testing 121 in CI, because we don't have the kind images right now. I think they're still chasing some build problem upstream. So I'm not sure what best to do. We sort of.
So you're saying there's a known issue with kind 121 compatibility. I can look into that. I can ask some folks if I don't know about that. I know that we do a bunch of tests for kubeadm and cluster API that rely on kind, and we usually pin those tests to head, and those seem to be working. So I can ask some folks about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there is a issue. So if you could share a link, Daniel, that would be awesome. I think there was something that was expected from the kind team before pushing the kindest node 121. I think that was the, I'm not sure if it was an issue or, I don't know, refactor. But I didn't get the chance to have a look at that, and anyone that is willing to get involved in helping them is, I mean, it's welcome.
Yeah, I've got to stand up in 15 minutes, so I can ask some folks if anybody knows. I'm gonna look through the Kured code base for the 120. So there's a 120 reference to a kind image. So we just want a 121 equivalent of that.
Yeah, we just want the kindest node 121, the official one. So currently the kindest node 121 is not published yet, and so that's just that. In the code we have in the GitHub folder, there is workflows. Well, there is basically a kind cluster with a certain version. And so we have the 120, 119. When the image of kindest node 121 will be published, we can just create a file that is similar to this and increase our test metrics.
Speaking about test metrics, after a discussion with JP, yeah, I came to the conclusion that in the next steps, my contribution, I would focus to make the functions in the main .go a little bit lighter and more unit testable. So if I manage to do that, then it would be easier for us to increase the coverage for the code. So.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Was there anything else you were hoping to still get into this next release?
No, I was waiting for that PR to get in, and after that I will, after that, I will just observe and see if everything regarding the Shouter implementation is nice and clean. Then I will make the next step, the one we discussed, where I would gently transfer the whole functionality of the old deprecated flag, that Slack URL and the other stuff, using Shouter, and we'll remove that useless Slack package.
Okay.
So the long story short is the deprecated flags will still be useful, but will be used via Shouter.
Super. How about you, Jack and Jean-Philippe? Was anything else other than what we talked about you wanted to get into this release?
I think there's a lot of stuff, so I think I would be concerned if there was more things going to release them. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, to be honest.
Good point. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's the biggest ever release we've done in a single. I mean, we shoved so many things inside this release. So, but at the same time, we never had that much coverage before.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I think once we get a bit closer to being confident in the release, we can also finish the blog post, and we can see where we want to get it out. Maybe we want to get it out on. I think we could try getting it on the Kubernetes blog. Originally, I was just thinking on the Weaveworks blog because I can just put it there, but we could see if there's other places where more people are going to read it. But I think we should make some noise about this really big release and see if we get some more folks involved, because many people use it and we just don't see them on Slack, on GitHub.
Yeah, I think that it would be good to also talk about the future, as I might have mentioned in the past. One of the ideas I had was like refactoring of QD to change the architecture. It kind of scares me at the same time because I like QD the way it is right now. So I would like to maybe keep, I'd say, 2 kind of branches or something like that. So having 2 kind of QD seems fair. But the reason I see it interesting is because on certain scale, we see that there are more and more requirements in terms of, I don't know, maintenance windows or well, different blockers. Anyone wants to, people want to have their own ways, and having more flexibilities with some kind of CRDs on how to configure QD live, and I mean, more flexible in terms for operations could be a good thing. I don't think it's I will have time to tackle that anytime though. It's my my availability is pretty much sinusoid, and sometimes it's fine because I'm on 100% availability, but sometimes it's just completely the opposite, and I'm at like double booked.
May I ask, what do you mean in matter of flexibility? Because I don't know, editing the daemon set, that already gives some flexibility. What more would people desire?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on if we say, should you, do you want to update the daemon set live? Do you want to, for example, keep your daemon set in a certain way, and just at some point you drop a custom resource and say, okay, now I want to do this now. Or that's one example. The other example I had in mind in terms of flexibility was okay, we currently have a process for rebooting, which is basically NS enter, you enter the namespace and you trigger the reboot. But we've got in the past some very nice folks, including Sasha and Sasha Grunert, and folks that were interested into having more security around around the reboots and the story around reboots that doesn't involve an NS enter, all this kind of stuff. So I kind of investigated what's possible there. I had a proof of concept that was very weird, that was plugging in the kubelet credentials and basically reducing the scope of many of the tools we have at that time. And so it is more secure, but it was not perfect. It was because of the architecture that I felt it was not perfect. And I changed the architecture is like, it's not necessary because I mean, we're just rebooting nodes, right? But if you're moving towards something that is, just a second. If you're moving towards something that is more flexible, and so now we are thinking about reboot maintenance or maintenance items, and those are more flexible in terms of what's running inside it, maybe running like a job in Kubernetes, or I don't know yet how we can do that, but we could have more flexibility around. And maybe, for example, if you are running on an hyperscaler, you don't need, maybe you have an opportunity to do things differently. Maybe you don't need to do systemctl reboot. Maybe you can just call an API and just like violently crush the machine. And that's something that is possible. And if we're thinking of a more flexible, I would say, reboot procedure, and maybe some other are just saying, well, my reboot procedure now, it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe now I can just keep the same way, have the privileged pods, but maybe some people don't like it. And so that's why I had the idea of being more like bring your own procedure, and that could be nice.
Okay, thank you. So you want to have something like a breezy reboot and hardcore reboot.
I think the gist here is to be to give the opportunity for the people to do it themselves. So that's kind of neat. So, and propose the same way as we do by default. But I mean, I'm open to suggestions here. It was just ideas.
So I actually scaffolded out something a couple months ago. I had like a couple free days. I'm going to paste a link. Someone in the Kured issue queue asked for something general in terms of like, I want to do maintenance windows and I want to just do arbitrary maintenance on my nodes. And my first thought was that Kured is so, I like that Kured has the Linux approach of just doing one thing well. And I, as someone who uses Kured, I wouldn't want it to become to take on too many responsibilities.
Yes.
So I thought, but I basically copied the Kured code and then moved stuff around to do something more general in terms of exposing a script. And it's, I think if you guys have time to look through that, it's pretty simple what that does. And I would actually be interested to, I don't want to like have this be associated with my org or anything. So if I could find the right project to put that solution into, I would be super keen to do that. It's actually surprising that there isn't something that does it. So essentially, the idea is that you just have a Helm chart and you install. There's something like a Kured daemon, which is responsible for like enforcing one at a time. You know, coordinate draining one node at a time, holding a daemon set lock, following those same patterns. And then you just refer it to like a URI that has bash in it, and it'll basically, under the hood, paste that bash script using cron, a cron like cat output. So basically the node gets one at a time runs a script. So you can go through and do like an apt-get update containerd across your node pool. And before each containerd update, you're going to coordinate drain your node. So it's super similar to the Kured solution, but it was curious to me that there isn't a tool that already does this, because it seems so useful.
So I'll probably talk about what people do at SUSE and at Rancher. So there is also something like similar to that, but different approach. So I'll paste the links here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I think that we should. I think Kured has a lot of credibility in the community, and maybe there are some stories where we can make things a little bit more flexible and generic, as you mentioned. But I think that we could help folks out by, if there is a solution, I would be happy to spend more time in that community and making that solution standardized and just spreading the word.
Yeah. So
Cool. I'll
my
look at that.
research is that I mean, we've got an issue in QD and about what can we do there in terms of new kind of architecture. And well, if you're interested, I welcome you to join on that. So, what I like in QD is that it's simple, and we're building a community that is super nice, and so I want to keep it that way. If we are thinking of new ways and new things, we can use the community we're building and continue together. So what I found missing in my research is that I haven't seen something that is tackling the I would say the reboot of the nodes in a different way. I haven't seen something else. I mean, Red Hat
I think
has
that's partly because everybody knows that Kured does it well, and so I don't think anybody is going to solve a solved problem. You know what I mean? It might not be perfect, but it's definitely good enough where most engineers are going to say, "I'm not going to worry about that." Like Kured already does this.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, whoops. Just like there are lots of problems in the Kubernetes ecosystem. It's there's an overwhelming set of problems. So if you can find a problem that's already solved, we're super grateful.
Yeah, one thing, it's also nothing we need to decide on today, but one thing I would like to look at if we would manage to get more people involved is that folks asked for basically the newest QD on the Kubernetes version they're running. So it is a bit of a support matrix problem and backporting things and testing things. But it's something that has come up. Interestingly, after your patch was merged, I saw it a couple of times. Like say, people really want Microsoft Teams support on their old Kubernetes releases.
I am happy it was solved, that issue in Shouter side, it was solved with Microsoft Teams, so now everybody's happy. I didn't test it on MS Teams, but I don't know, should we do this? Because if we do this, then there will be requests for other features as well, and we're opening a Pandora box.
Yeah, and it's also making our test matrix far more complex because we haven't, I mean, we have always focused on a single branch. And so now we'll have to deal with multiple branches. So it's, I mean, it's a community project. We have to know our limits also. We are not a company that is specialized into one thing and it makes it our bread and butter. I mean, Weaveworks is, but I'm not sure QD is the one that is bringing the money at Weaveworks. So I will not judge here.
It was mostly just a project that Adam needed to for his deployments.
That's how it works. That's how it starts.
Yeah. Anyway,
the only thing that I can offer to that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The only thing that I can offer to that guy that so much needed it, because it's anyways like a 10 minutes, I could implement that and give him untested that and to deal with it on his own. But we're not going to test it.
Well, in a similar way, there was a particular thing that I needed like 3 or 4 months ago, which is why I'm here today. And I was just running a build of that for, I didn't need it in a production scenario, but I needed it for another thing. And so I just, pushed a build of Kured to Docker Hub, and was using that to test other things. I don't think it's the Kured community's responsibility to teach folks how to do that, but I think there is a common pattern for folks kind of taking their own responsibility. Ideally, with these kinds of features, there would be a sponsor, because I agree that the test matrix, you want to keep the test matrix reasonably small so that the tests are super reliable and well trusted. So these kinds of features that are really important to people that are really hard to test, hopefully we can get them to sponsor that feature. And it's not necessarily going to be tested with every integration to master or main, but it's something that will be responsive to them when they say, oh, looks like Teams integration broke, I'm on it. Please prioritize merging this PR kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was all I had. Was there anything you were hoping to discuss? I'm looking forward to some of that client feedback. So let's see what we're going to do there, and then yeah, maybe next week we're going to be closer to getting a release out. Perfect. All right, I think I'm going to catch the last rays of sunshine over here.
Okay. Enjoy.
Yeah, you too. See you online.
Well, thanks
Yeah,
everyone. Thanks for staying up a little, or staying at work a little longer. Go enjoy sunshine.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you
Have a
guys.
good day.
Bye.